Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Lewis, and I want to welcome you to Math 141. This is a video that is the first of two videos where I'm just going to try to get you oriented to the class and help you feel comfortable with how to progress through the class on a day-to-day basis. In the first video, just kind of working through the class website, where everything's at, and how to get started. That's going to be the focus of this first video. And then the second video, we'll talk a little bit more about the grading in the class and the assessments and things like that. And what all goes into making your grade at the end of the quarter. So there are two videos. Make sure you do watch both of those. Just a little bit about me first. I have taught at YVC now for 15 years. I love my job. I love helping students, both teaching face-to-face classes and teaching classes here online. And one thing I just want to convey from the outset is that even though you're taking this class remotely, I try to provide as many resources as possible, and that includes being able to meet with me. Right now, I'm speaking to you through a Zoom recording, and so you'll be able to meet with me in this virtual setting, even if you are not on campus. And of course, I'm on campus every day. I do teach face-to-face classes. So if you happen to be taking this class online, yet taking other classes at YVC face-to-face, you can always come and get assistance from me in person as well. So we'll talk about all the details of that throughout this video. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start by sharing my screen here. And like I said, my goal for this first video is just to make sure that you feel comfortable with our Canvas website and you just know what it is that you need to be doing on a day-to-day basis. All right, so here at the top is our Start Here module. Each of these little blocks in the Canvas page I'll refer to as modules. You'll hear me say that a lot and write that to you a lot in messages. So if I talk about a module, then you want to go find one of these gray rectangles. So in the Start Here module, there's a number of things. There's a little welcome message to pre-calculus. A little bit about me. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this page. Just a little short bio. What I would like you to do is to watch this video at the bottom of the page because it really, I think, sets up nicely my approach to teaching and what I hope your approach is to being a student. So it's not real long, about 10 minutes. So please take a little bit of time to watch that. After reading through that bio and watching that video, you see this orientations videos page. That's just what you're watching right now. But if you need to go back and watch it again, you can find those here. Then the very first thing what you're going to do in the class is you're going to introduce yourself. So, when we take the class face to face, a lot of times they'll put you in groups and you're working together. You get to know people, you get to know me. It's a little harder to do online, but I want to try to do it the best we can. So most of these are just some questions that you can answer as you'd like that have nothing to do with math class. A couple of them do. So please just hit reply to this original post and respond to these questions. If there's a question you would rather not respond to or don't really have an answer for, that's not a big deal. Just the idea is I like to kind of get to know you a little more as a person, and so that you're not just a name on my screen, right? So here's a little bit about me in response to the questions that I was asking. Once people start to respond to this, you can, reply to others, so if you have something in common with someone or find something interesting, I encourage you to just go ahead and hit reply under their responses and make a comment. So that's the first thing that you'll do. The second thing in our Start Here module is you'll take an orientation quiz, right? So don't do this quiz until you've watched both this video and the next one that's about assessments and grading. But then you'll take this orientation quiz here. It's got, I think, 8 questions. There's really not right or wrong answers. It's just a way to make sure that you're getting the main points from these orientation videos that you need to get, and that you're clear on how all the different things work. So if something in the orientation quiz doesn't seem familiar, you're not sure about it, please do reach out to me, because it's an opportunity just for us to make sure you're feeling comfortable with things. All right, so then after the Start Here module, I want to take you through a couple other modules at the top. The first one is the important links. So these are just links out to various websites and other things that you're going to need to use throughout the quarter. So the first one is the Zoom student hour link. So the important thing for you to understand about this class is that, like I said at the beginning, I really want to provide all the resources I can. So every day from 1:10 to 3 p.m., I will be having my student hours. Okay, so that means I am in my office, waiting for students to come to get help with homework and studying and things like that for my face-to-face classes. But at the same time, I will have a Zoom meeting open online. And so all you have to do to join my student hours and get some help on things is to click on this link. And what it'll do is it'll put you in a little virtual waiting room in Zoom. Most likely, I'll be able to let you in from that waiting room right away. If there's a little bit of a delay and I don't let you in immediately, please don't leave. It's just because I'm maybe in the middle of helping a student with something, either in my office or another student who's on Zoom. And I'm just trying to get to a stopping point. And once I can get to a, kind of a pause point with that student, then I'll let you in. And if I have multiple people on Zoom or multiple people in my office, then I'll just kind of share time and bounce around between folks. You do not need to schedule this with me ahead of time or anything like that. So it can just be you're working on something, and during this time period, and you're just like, I'm stuck. And then you can just go click on it right away. Similar to my student hours, but much more expansive, is the Math Care for All, which is the online version of our Math Center. So if you click on this link, it's very similar to my student hours, but instead of taking you to me, it'll take you to one of the tutors in the Math Center, and you'll just let them know that, hey, I need some help with Math 141, and then they'll be able to help you. Again, if they are helping other people, then there might be a little bit of wait time. So if someone doesn't get to you right away, don't give up. Just hang out, and then they'll get to you as soon as they can. So there's hours during the day, as you can see, but really importantly, 6 to 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday. So when you're working on things in the evenings, that's a time that I'm not available. So then click on the Math Care for All Zoom link, and you can get help during those hours. Now, like I said, some of you may be taking in-person classes, and so it's worth just saying that the Math Center is also open for in-person tutoring. And so here's Math Care for All. Oh, good. Looks like the hours are a little more than what I have written. So I'm going to have to fix that. So 10 to 3 for the Math Care for All for the online hours, and then Monday through Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. But for in-person, it's open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. All right. So if you're on campus, you can just drop in Building 4, which is Glen Anthon, room 101. So great place to get your homework done. And there's always a tutor or an instructor who's on duty. Sometimes there's two of them, and they can help you out in person as well. Same thing in Grandview. Grandview also has an in-person Math Center, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 5 on Thursday, and then 9 to 12 on Friday. Okay. So the next thing is there's a link to our textbook. Now, if you looked in the bookstore, you'll see that there is a book for our class, but it does say come to class first. Okay. And the reason for that is because you do not need to purchase that hard copy book unless you really want to. The textbook is available online for free. So we're using OpenStax, algebra and trigonometry. And so as long as you're happy with an electronic version of your textbook, no need to purchase anything as far as that goes. So there's other places where I link to the textbook down in the assignments, and I'll show you those later. The grade projector is something that I'll wait for the second video to show you when I talk about assessments. Here's a link. Need to check out technology. You can go to Library and Media Services, and that's both on the Yakima campus and on the Grandview campus. And you can check out technology, whether it's a hotspot, they have laptops that you can check out, at least for a period of time. But the thing that probably a lot of you will want to take advantage of for sure is the calculator. So you do need a TI-84 graphing calculator for this class, but the library has a ton of them to lend out for the quarter. So they look like this. They don't all look exactly like this, but they basically have these buttons. And so you just go in there and let them know that you need a graphing calculator for Math 141, and they'll lend you one for the quarter. So these cost about, I don't know, 130, 140 bucks if you go and buy them in the store. So if you're someone who feels like you're gonna, you're on the STEM path, and you're like, well, I got a ton of math classes I got to take anyway, so I might as well just buy one. That's fine, you can, but it's totally fine to borrow one. So what I would suggest is that on Monday, classes haven't officially started yet, but you should be able to go to the library and check out a calculator. So if you can make it in on Monday or early Tuesday, then that's the best, to make sure that they don't run out of graphing calculators, because on Tuesday, the face-to-face classes will meet, and then their instructors will let them know that, hey, you can go borrow a graphing calculator. So I highly suggest kind of getting right on top of it, get the calculator right away if you're interested in borrowing one rather than purchasing one. All right. And then finally, there's some information about printing at YVC. That also is done in the library. And that's going to be helpful to a lot of you, because I have a large set of notes that I'm going to ask you to either print out or have an electronic version of that you're able to write on, like with a tablet. Okay, in fact, let me show you where that's at. It's right in this next module in important documents. Okay, so these documents down here, standards 1 through 5 notes, standards 6 through 11 notes, these 5 documents here, these are the notes for the quarter. Okay, so in a face-to-face class, I print all these out day one and hand them out to students. So they have a giant packet of notes, and then I have them put it in a 3-ring binder. And just to give you an idea of what this looks like, I'll click on this one. So it's this document that's got the setups to example problems, definitions, theorems, things like that. But then also notice that there is space underneath for you to write. So in a face-to-face class, you would have this packet, and then you'd be taking notes in this packet as I'm presenting the lesson. Okay. In the online class, it's going to work the same way. It's just that the lessons are going to come to you through videos that I've created. Okay. So what that means is that either everyone needs to print out all these notes. Okay. Or if you've got, just to use an example, like let's say you have an iPad and you have a pen that goes with your iPad, then a lot of times what you can do is you can have a program where you download a PDF document, and then you're able to write on top of that PDF, right? Some of you may already have something like that. So if you want to take your notes that way, that's totally fine. But one way or another, I need you to be able to take notes on these documents. So if you are thinking, I'm going to print these out at YVC, know that you have, gosh, it's at least 300 pages of free printing. I think it's maybe even more than that. So you have plenty of free pages through YVC where you can print these out for free. Just go to the library and get them printed out there. Okay. So no need to go somewhere and pay a bunch of money to have them printed. Okay. Oh, almost forgot. Um, this rubrics document, I'm going to go over that more thoroughly in the next video, but syllabus, I would like you to read through the syllabus carefully. A lot of the information that's in the syllabus, I'm going over in these orientation videos, but not 100% of it. So please read through it and let me know if you have any questions at all. One thing that I will just draw your attention to, and we'll talk about in more detail in the next video, is that while this is an online class, you are going to come onto campus and take assessments in a proctored testing environment. Okay. So you're not going to be able to do that from home. So we have a proctored testing center in Yakima, a proctored testing center in Grandview. And if you are far away from both of those, there are ways to make arrangements to get an alternate proctor to proctor your exams. I'm going to talk about those. I'm going to talk about that in detail in the next video. Okay. But what I want to say for now is that all the dates where you will have to be here to do your assessments are all already set and written right here uh, in the syllabus. So immediately take note of all these dates so that you make sure that, you know, if you got a work schedule, things like that. Hopefully this gives you enough lead time where you can make the appropriate arrangements so that you'll have um, time to be able to come in and take those assessments on those days. If there's a conflict, let me know as soon as possible, right? Let's get that taken care of ahead of time. But hopefully with this lead time and letting you know what all the dates are, you'll be able to make your arrangements for those. All right, but like I said, read through all the rest of the syllabus. Let me know if you have any questions at all about it. All right, so now there's this thing called the homework forum. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. Let me go into what the rest of this is all about, which are just the modules for each topic. So what I've done is I've broken the class into topics. So a different module for each one. I call the topics standards. So standard 1, standard 2, standard 3. When you hear that language, it just means topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. I'm going to come back to standard 1. It's kind of a strange one, so it's not a good one to use as a first example. So I'm going to go to standard number 9 because it kind of shows everything I want to show that you're going to see in a module. All right. So first, the way I've arranged these modules is anything that is indented, right? So this first and second thing, the standard 9 rubric, this link here, and then this page here, those indented ones are resources for you, but they are not things that you have to do. Okay. They're not action items, I guess is the way that I would say it. So they're there to help, but not something you have to like turn into me or something. All right. Anything that's all the way to the left, that is something that you have to do. That is an action item. Okay. So this one here is video notes. So these are like the video lessons. And then down here are assignments. Okay. So I'm going to go through all this in detail. So first of all, the one at the top that is not an action item, it's the standard 9 rubric. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these rubrics in the next video, but for now, just understand that they are a description of what you're learning in this module, and then also what it means to like be an expert at this or proficient, developing, novice, or not yet. It's just giving you kind of a level of mastery and what it looks like if someone's an expert in this area. What does it look like if someone's proficient in this area? So that's what this rubric's all about. Again, I'll go into more detail about it in the next video. All right, then there's a direct link to the section in the textbook that we're covering. So I'll click on this link, and then you can view it in here if you want, but you can also click here to open it in a new tab. And so it takes you directly to section 3.4 of our textbook. So it's real easy just to click in here and read up on what we're learning in this standard. Then we get to the video notes. Okay, so notice how it's labeled standard 6 through 11 notes, pages 24 through 34. Okay, so let me go back up to our notes page for a moment, our notes where the notes are in our module. So we're in standard 6 through 11 notes, right? So it said standard 6 through 11, pages 24 to 34. So I'm going to click here. So page numbers are at the bottom. So I'm going to go all the way down until I reach page 24. Too far. Okay. So here's what that means. The video in that module covers pages 24 or sorry, 24 all the way through page 34 of this note packet. So what you'll do is you'll have your note packet either already printed out or already in an electronic version on a tablet where you can take notes. And then you're going to have that out with you as you, computer froze for a second there. You're going to have that out with you as you're watching the video. And I just want you to take a mental picture here real quick of page 24, the very first page. Okay. So there's page 24. So notice it has this standard 9 rubric with a description of all these levels of mastery with the title section 3.4 video notes. Okay. So that's what the picture looks like. Now, if I go back down to the video, click on that video page. There's a series of videos. And if I press play on this first one, notice it's the exact same thing we were just looking at, right? So on the screen in the video, it's showing you the notes that you have either printed out or in electronic form in front of you. And if I fast forward a little bit, you can see that writing is appearing, right? And so, if you're familiar with things like Khan Academy and things like that, the videos are in that style where you hear my voice and you see writing appearing, and you're taking notes in your note packet right along with the video. Right? So that's how the video notes work. So again, the thing to keep in mind here is that this one is all the way over to the left. So that is the thing you have to do. That is the primary way that you're going to learn the material. Yes, the textbook's great. I highly encourage you to read through it. But the video notes, that's the stuff that I would be doing in class in a face-to-face class, right? So you're taking notes on that. That's a must do. This next set of videos, notice it's indented, so you do not have to do this, but they're just there as extra resources for you. So if I click on those supplemental videos, these are videos made by others on the same topic as what's in the video notes. And so this would just be, maybe you finished with the video notes, maybe you try some homework and you're struggling still. There's something you're not quite understanding. And, like, let's say it's like a Saturday. And so Math Center is not open and I don't have student hours, so you can't get a hold of me and you're just really stuck. Well, then that might be a time to check out the supplemental videos. It might be that the way that this person's presenting this topic makes a little bit more sense to you. Okay. So if everything's feeling good after you watch the video notes, then there's no reason you have to do anything at all with the supplemental videos, but it's there if you need them. All right, now there's two types of assignment that you're going to be asked to do. There are Newton assignments, and that's an online homework system. And that is the one thing in the class that is going to cost some money. So I'll show you that in a second. And then there are written assignments as well. So in this particular module, there are 3 different assignments to do, 2 Newton assignments and 1 written assignment. So let me click on this first Newton assignment. The first time you click on one of these, it'll always have this thing here, load Newton, in another window. And the reason I like to do that is because it makes rather than opening it in Canvas, it's much larger screen and much easier to see what you need to see. Okay, so the first time you click on one of these, it won't take you directly to the assignment. It'll have this message where it says purchase or it says unlock. Both of these buttons take you to the same place where it gives you options for purchase. Okay. Now, the cheapest one by far, cheapest option will be to do the monthly plan, and you pay as you go. The trick, though, is a couple things. One, make sure you remember to cancel in June, okay? Because you don't need to pay beyond that. But if you forget, then it'll charge you for July, right? You don't want to do that. So, so the monthly plan can work. Also, you very well may be watching this video, on March, 29th or 30th or 31st. Wait till April 1st to select the plan, right? So that way you're only, you're paying for April and May and June rather than paying for just a day in March, right? Nothing's, the class doesn't officially start till April 1st. So just be careful of that. So that'd be the cheapest. Single term access is easy because it just gives you access for this quarter. It is a little bit more, but one advantage it does have is you can do courtesy access. Okay, so you can get 14 days of free access. Now, the reason you might want to take advantage of this is if you, let's say you are pretty sure you're going to take this class, but you were also debating about, okay, maybe if I get into this other class that I'm waitlisted for, maybe I'll take that one instead. And so it's not 100% that you're going to be in this class. Well, the courtesy access is nice for that because you can get started on the class. But then if like Thursday or Friday of the first week, you're like, oh, good, I got into the class that I was really hoping for and I need to switch, then you're not out the money. Okay. Also, redeeming an access code. That's another way that you can purchase Newton Alta access. So the bookstore should have some codes that you can purchase. So if you'd rather do your purchases through the bookstore rather than online, that's an option as well. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click Get Courtesy Access. You can see how this works. Okay. But I guess let me go back to the previous page real quick. Just don't do this. Okay. This is great if you have multiple quarters in a row that are using Newton Alta, but I use Newton Alta and a couple other instructors do, but not everybody does. So don't count on, say, the person who's teaching Math 142. They're not necessarily going to use it. They might, but they might not. So I just wouldn't do Alta Pass because good chance it's not going to pay off. And notice how this is just basically double this amount. So it only becomes a nice option if you're taking like 3 or 4 quarters in a row, and that's not likely. Okay, so now I'll get courtesy access so you can see how this works. All right, so now now I can hit start, actually start the assignment. All right, so the thing about Newton Alta is that there are not a set number of questions for you to complete. Rather, what you're doing is you are trying to complete an objective. Okay. You're trying to essentially prove that you have a solid understanding of a particular objective. Now, the first objective they're showing us is this: evaluate composite functions given explicit functions, right? So I'm going to go ahead and answer this one correctly, or at least attempt to. And so bear with me a moment while I do a little bit of math on my paper here. All right, so I think the answer is 14. And notice that they have lots of symbols here that you can use. Make a keyboard, although I don't think that's usually be very helpful to you. But they have different types of things that you can select depending on the question that give you more button options. So I think 14 is the right answer. So I put 14 in, I hit submit, and good, I'm right. So you see this green bar here, well done. And notice not only does it give you the answer afterward, whether you get it right or wrong, it'll show you the detailed work that it would take to get to that answer. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I feel like this this purchase I'm asking you to make is worth it because I think detailed solutions in this class are really helpful for you to have access to. So, okay, now I hit, so notice the circle up here just got partially filled in. Okay. So all you're trying to do is complete the circle. And there's usually multiple objectives per homework. But the idea is once you fill in all your circles, the homework's done. Hit continue. All right. So now I've got another one. I'm going to answer this one correctly as well. So we'll do. I believe the answer is -1, actually. And look at that. Now my circle's half full. Okay. I'll hit continue. And notice all of a sudden, uh-oh, my circle's not full anymore. Okay, so what's that about? Well, it's not that it lost my progress. It's that notice that it's a different objective now. It says evaluate composite functions given a table of values. That's a different objective than the last one. So you can keep track of your overall progress if you go up here and hit this little, I don't know, it's like a lightning looking symbol. Then it'll show you all the different objectives. So there's 3 objectives on this assignment. I've gotten halfway done with this objective. And, you know, you might find this a little annoying, but they do jump around. Okay, so they let me answer 2 of these. Now they're taking me to another objective to work on. So it is what it is. All right, so let's now start to get some wrong. Okay, I'm just going to kind of put some random numbers in here. So if I get it wrong, it'll almost always, I should say, unless it's like a multiple choice question, it'll give me a second chance. Okay, so we'll say, okay, I'm wrong, and then give me a chance to work my way through it again and figure out what it is that I did, but I got it wrong twice now. Okay, so when I get it wrong twice, it will give me the correct answer, and then again, it'll give me a nice explanation of how they arrived at that answer. So I hit continue. Notice my circle didn't get filled in. I'm going to go ahead and answer incorrectly again. Hit submit 2 different times. And again, it gives me a correct answer, gives me a detailed solution of how they got that. Okay. Now it's asking me to do a problem involving graphs. I'm going to get this wrong as well. What I want to show you here is that Newton Alta gives you some nice resources aside from just their detailed solutions. Right, so I've gotten quite a few wrong in a row. So I've gotten a bunch wrong in a row, and now it's taken me back to the original objective that I had made some progress on, as you recall. So let me go ahead and get this one correct. I think the answer is 6. Go. All right, notice 3/4 of the way done with that circle. Looks like it's going to give me a chance maybe to finish off this objective. So let's see here. I think the answer is 12. All right, look at that. It says, way to go. You completed 1 of 3 objectives. So that one is done. If I go up here, that one's completely finished. So now I just have to work on these 2. All right, so let's continue. I'm going to get this one wrong again. All right. And again. Failed solution. Okay, now, after I got it wrong a number of times in a row, what Newton Alta recognizes is that I might need some additional help. So in this case, it popped up a video for me to watch. Notice it's not long, like 4.5 minutes. So when they show you this, you can hit continue, but you should take in whatever it is. Now, sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's a portion of the textbook, but the point is it'll show you some stuff and say, hey, looks like you're struggling with this. Why don't you give this a try? And then you can hit continue after you've watched the video and then try another one. Okay, this time they have given me a multiple choice one. And let's see, I'll go ahead and get this one correct. Let's see. think the answer is 4. All right, so now I got it right. And so now if I go and continue, I started to make progress on that objective. So the assignment's over as soon as all the circles are filled in. And also here's your overall, you can get a sense like, okay, I'm done. I'm 44% done. So that's how Newton Alta assignments work. The thing to notice is I do have due dates for these Newton Alta assignments. Oh yes, there's one other thing I wanted to show you before we move on from Newton Alta assignments. And that is, what if you are needing some help from me, but it's not a time where you can stop by my student hours or something like that? Well, there's different devices have different ways of taking screenshots. So whatever way that you take screenshots, you can go ahead and just take a picture of the question that you're having trouble with, and then go to the homework forum. So if I click on homework forum, then you can just hit reply and paste in although that was kind of annoying because it made the image so large. So I can maybe make the image medium. There we go. And then you can type in your question here, right? I got 5 for this, and I'm sure what I did wrong. Okay, and so you can paste things in, ask me questions, and so you hit reply, right? And then that goes here, and then I can reply back to you and give you assistance. So that's a way when you can't stop in and see me, but you still want to get a question answered, you can take a picture of it and just go ahead and ask your question in the homework form that way. All right. So there are due dates for the assignments. The default is if it's late. So notice April 21st is the due date. It's due at like 11:59, right? That night. If you don't make that, then anything you do after that date, you can still do it. It's just that it'll be half points. Now, that being said, I am usually very quick to give extensions. Okay. I understand sometimes you're working hard at something and you just need more time on it, right? You're struggling with it. Like, hey, and so things like, hey, I want to finish up this assignment, but I think I need some help from the math center, or I need help during your student hours tomorrow. Then I'm going to be quick to just take away that point deduction. So basically, it's just there to prevent being late from becoming habitual, right? Because before you know it, it snowballs on you, and then you're a week behind. And in an online class, that's really tough, right? So I don't want that to happen. But that being said, whenever you need an exception, reach out to me, and I usually am very quick to give those extensions. We just don't want things to pile up on you to where you have trouble catching up. Okay, so those are Newton assignments. Then the other type of assignment is a written assignment. So click on that. So when you click on a written assignment, the first thing you'll see is a document. So you'll click on the document. All right. And most written assignments have 2 types of questions. Questions that I ask you to complete from the book. And so it says complete the following problems from section 3.4 of the text. And then it also often has problems that I write out myself. Okay. So the way you're going to do this written assignment is you're just going to do it on your own notebook paper. I don't need you to print this document out. And certainly I don't expect you to wedge your work into here because I don't provide enough space for you to do that. So just on your own notebook paper, you're going to write all this out. And this is a pretty long assignment. So this one would probably be multiple pages that you would have. Okay. And after you complete the work, you'll take pictures of it and then upload it. And I'll show you where to do that in a moment. But when you upload it, I don't care if you upload it as separate pictures or if you upload it as a single PDF document. I really like the single PDF documents. They're easier for me to work with. But that being said, I'm fine if it's a series of pictures that you just take with your phone and then attach. That's okay as well. Um, the one thing is you just need to make sure the pictures that you take are either JPEG files or PNG files, as opposed to they're called HEIC files. They're the ones that some of the I think iPhones take. And so the reason is Canvas does not deal with those very well, and often I can't see them when they're on Canvas. So basically, just don't use high definition photos. Um, if you're not really sure what your phone does when you take those pictures, that's okay. Oops, what happened there? That's okay. Like worst case scenario, the very first assignment, if I can't read a document, I'll just send you a message saying, "Hey, sorry, I couldn't read it. Can you try um, the non-high efficiency, uh, or excuse me, the non-high definition photos?" And I can send you some instructions for how to fix that on whatever phone you have. Um, so if you know how to make sure that they're JPEGs or PNGs, great. Um, if you're not sure about that, I guess just send me the first written assignment and I'll let you know if there's a problem. Okay. But in terms of getting to these problems, of course, I showed you the textbook already, but you can also click on this link. Now, the only unfortunate thing is right now I'm clicking on it, nothing's happening. And that's just an annoying feature of Canvas. So, but if you hold down Control, so I'm holding Control on my keyboard and now I click, then it will open up. Tab though. It will open up another tab for you. Okay. So it'll take you directly to section 3.4 and notice 1721. See, okay, so if I go here and I scroll down into the exercises, oops. So there's problem number 17, problem number 21, problem number 23, B and C, right? So you'll find all the problems that you need there. Now, what I want you to do as you're working on book assignments is understand that all odd problems are in the back of the book. So as you go, you can click on this little number 23 and it'll take you directly to the answer for number 23. So you can make sure you're doing it correctly. So it's important to check odd answers as you go, because I'm not necessarily going to give you the answers for those. And then you can hit back, go back to the exercises. Another way of quickly checking your answers, though, is here it says check your odd answers in the 3.4 section exercises. So again, I'm going to hold down Control and click on this. And that'll take me directly to essentially the back of the book, right? You're probably familiar with the back of most math textbooks have odd answers. So you got to scroll down a little ways because the first ones are the little try it problems that are scattered throughout the actual text. But here you go. You're going to look for exercises. So notice it said 3.4 section exercises. So I'm going to scroll all the way down until I get to those. Right. And what was it? It was 23 we were looking at together, right? Well, there's 23 BC. Okay. So then you can just have a tab open and check all of your odd answers just in one spot. All right. And then here's the problems that I put. Now, after this is due, I will post a key that has detailed solutions to all the evens. So 24, 94, 96, and then these problems that I wrote out, problems 1 through 3. Okay. So whenever, after you've turned in a written assignment, you'll want to make sure you follow up, go back to the key, and on written assignments, I will make comments to you. So I'll hit close here. There'll be comments over on the right side here, and I'll let you know on Canvas through a message that you have comments from me. So generally on written assignments, as long as you've made a good effort at it, you're going to mostly get full points unless you just leave things blank. but that doesn't mean you got it right. So if you see a 10 out of 10, that doesn't mean, oh, cool, I must have done everything perfectly, so I don't need to think about it. So you still need to go back and look at my comments. So you might get a 10 out of 10, but you'll see in my comments where I say, number 24, you were a little bit off here, and here's where you were off. And then you want to, of course, check out my solution key as well. So you've done the assignment. Maybe you have like 5 different pieces of notebook paper. So then you're going to take a picture of those 5 different pieces of notebook paper, and then you're going to go down and upload them here. Okay. So click on that. Let's pretend like this is my image. It's something different. So I attach that one. And if I have multiple pages, notice it's a PNG file. If I have multiple pages, then I just go ahead and select another one, right? So it's real easy just to put all your work on here. It's really helpful if you put it in order for me. I really do appreciate that if you have multiple attachments. If you can do that, that would be great. Or if you can put it all into a single PDF, that's fantastic as well. So those are the main types of assignments: Newton assignments and written assignments. You make your way through your modules that way. Let me go to the calendar. Okay. So how do we make sure we're on track and doing everything each day that we need to do? So if I go to our calendar, it'll tell you what you need to be doing each day. Okay. So so technically the plan for April 1st is the orientation and syllabus. Then for April 2nd, I want you to do standards 1 through 5, pages 1 through 9. So you're watching the video. This is telling you essentially what videos to watch and what notes to take. The third, pages 10 through 17 of the notes, and so on. Then down here are when assignments are due. So your first assignment, which is the orientation quiz, is due April 3rd. Then your first 2 Newton assignments are due April 4th. So the idea here is this calendar is here as kind of a minimum timeline for you to do things on. You can always get ahead. So I highly encourage you to get ahead, but just kind of think, all right, by April 2nd, I need to have this set of notes done. By April 3rd, this set of notes needs to be done. But you'll always be able to get started on assignments and things like that well ahead of time. And as a general rule, notice standards 1 through 5, pages 1 through 9 is the lesson you should be doing on April 2nd. The assignments that go with that content are due on April 4th. So I always try to have a day in between when you're supposed to have had the lesson finished and when you have the actual assignments due. So that way there's plenty of time for you to get assistance. And if you are struggling a little bit with the topic, that you have plenty of time to get the help you need. So the other thing you'll see here is the student hour. This is just another way of getting to my student hour. If I click on this, notice it says 1 to 3, but it also has the link. So you can get to my student hour this way as well. So that's the calendar. Then the other really vital thing for you to always keep an eye on is the inbox. So I'm going to be regularly sending you Canvas messages. That's going to be the primary way that I communicate with you. I'll also communicate with you through announcements that will appear at the top of page. Go back here. So there will often be announcements up here. Right now there aren't any, right? But you'll see announcements at the top. But this inbox is incredibly important. You'll see little numbers here. See this little 2 on my screen? Well, if you have a little 2 next to the inbox, that means you have 2 unread messages. Okay. So it is really important that you read those as soon as possible when they come in, because sometimes that's really important information that you need to know. Okay. So make sure you do that. All right. So my final thing for this video is to come back up to standard 1. So the reason I didn't use standard 1 as my exemplar for what a typical module looks like is it's kind of a weird one. Notice there's standard 1, part 1, part 2, 3, 4, and 5. Standard one's just kind of a big one because it's um, asking you to solve various types of equations. So to kind of break it down a little bit, I split it into 5 different parts. So I want to just give you an idea here of what to expect. One of the tricky things about pre-calculus is there's a lot of algebra material that you're expected to remember. But I understand that sometimes you need to refresh on some of that algebra material. So in these, especially standard one, there are a number of optional videos and optional um, assignments that you can do if you feel like you need a refresher. Okay, so for example, here's the standard one rubric. And so the standard one, part one, is all about solving absolute value equations. Okay. In order to be successful at solving absolute value equations, you first need to be successful in solving linear equations. Now, you're likely very comfortable with that. And so it's very likely that you can just ignore all this stuff here. But this stuff that has a more extreme indent that has optional next to it, this would be a review of solving linear equations, including a Newton assignment. Now, the Newton assignment is there just to give you a little bit of practice if you want it. Um, you could start the assignment and then do nothing with it, and it's not going to hurt your grade at all. Notice it's worth 0 points, but it's just there if you need a refresher. Okay. Then I get down here to the video notes, standards 1 through 5, pages 1 through 3. Okay, that's the actual material that you have to do. Remember, your rule is anything that's all the way to the left is what you have to do. So you have to do these video notes, you have to do these Newton assignments, but all these ones that are indented are just optional resources that are there for you if you need them. So the way I might approach this first standard is, go here, try the Newton assignment. If you're struggling a lot, then it's probably because some of this review material isn't as solid as you might want it. So that might be the time to go back and actually go through this stuff. All right. Similar with part two, there's lots of stuff that's indented. So all this stuff, if you're solid on this stuff, it can all just be ignored, all this optional stuff. The stuff you have to do is this video notes down here and this Newton assignment here. Okay. So just don't want you to be confused. You can see why I didn't start with this standard. But hopefully now that you've seen what a typical standard looks like, you understand, okay, here's just a bunch of stuff that is review for the stuff I really need to do for Math 141. It's there to help me if I need it. If you're really struggling, say, on this assignment, then reach out to me and then it might be good for us to have a conversation about, okay, which, if any of these review topics would be good for you to actually go through. All right. So depending on when you're watching this video, it might be a few days before April 1st. Feel free to get started on the class. Over the weekend, I'll probably check my messages a little bit. But if you send me a Canvas message, which you can always send me messages to ask me questions and things, I might not be quite as quick at getting back to you over this until April 1st hits here, but I will monitor and try to get back to you this weekend if you have any questions. So feel free to get started. You don't need to wait. Like I said, the calendar is there to help say, make sure this stuff's done by this date, but by all means, it's great to get ahead of the game. All right. Make sure and watch the next video that's all about assessment and grading and how you come in and take your assessments and things like that. But then after that, you can get started in the Start Here module with, first of all, the Introduce Yourself, and then second of all, the orientation quiz. And then you can move right on and start the actual content in Standard 1, Part 1. All right, I look forward to a great quarter, everybody. Look forward to meeting you, whether it's virtually or stopping by my office. And don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions.